Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Career Buzz Entrepreneurship Edition. My name is Jennifer Barber, and I'm the Executive Director of the Sacramento State Alumni Association. I'll be acting as the moderator for this event today. And as you probably recall, we'll be focusing on talking with several alums that have built a career as an entrepreneur, meaning they are their own boss. And I am honored to be here with such a wonderful group of Sac State alums. We do have one that is running a few minutes behind, so she will join as soon as possible. And we'll jump right into their diverse experiences, hear about their success stories. And the goal of these events is really to bring students and recent grads together with our alumni through this Q&A format, but it also allows you to ask questions that are specific to your journey. Today's event takes advantage of our actually just over 300,000 strong Sac State alumni network. And through hearing from these alumni who've made a significant impact within the community, hopefully they will help on your journey as they volunteer their time today to help you. We're excited to hear directly from them, so let's get to it. We'll jump in with introductions. So I'll ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves, share your name, your degree, your major, when you graduated, what you currently do, and just a little bit about your business and maybe throw in a fun fact. So I'm going to kick it off with Jimbrey.
Yes, hear me fine.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Jimbrey Chua, but everyone calls me Jeb for short. I graduated from Sacramento State in 2021, so it's still kind of recent in some way. I finished with a degree in computer engineering. Definitely different from what I'm doing right now, but I'm with Superfoot Taekwondo Tigers. I'm the co-owner alongside with my sister. It's a martial arts school here in Rancho Cordova. So our mission is to build or create some champions on and off the mat. So not just in Taekwondo, but hopefully when they become good adults, they become good leaders and good people. Um, I'm pretty bad with fun facts, but I guess something that kind of correlates with what I do. So I got the chance or opportunity to compete nationally in the Philippines, and I got silver in the nationals. And I got to compete here in the US at the US Open and get to compete against the top 10 players in the world. So that was pretty cool. Thank you.
Well, that's a pretty fun fact. Yeah, you didn't struggle too much. That's great. Congratulations. Next, we're going to move on to Ted.
Hello, everybody. Ted Kappel here. I graduated way back in 1995 with a business degree in marketing. I am currently the CEO and president of Kappel Mortgage Group, otherwise known as KMG. We're a company that is on the wholesale side. We work with many, many lenders and banks to find the best financing for people that are buying homes or refinancing or using their equity. And I guess a fun fact for me is I just found out today that our company was awarded the second best, the silver award for most favorite mortgage company by the Sacramento Bee with the big contest. So that's
Ooh,
pretty big because we're going against big giant lenders that have thousands of employees. So it's a pretty big honor.
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And our final panelist, Melissa Muganzo. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Jennifer. Hi. It's so nice to see everybody. Ted, Jeb, nice to meet you both. My name is Melissa Muganzo, and my pronouns are she, they, and sis. I'm the CEO and owner of Mindy's Kitchen of California and proud graduate of Sac State. I went to Sac State in 2011 and graduated in 2013 with a graduate degree in education. And fun fact, I am an entertainment professor here. And one of my fun facts that I have to share with you is that I created a movie and I took it on tour, and I just finished working on a show with Steve Carell. So it's so fun. So fun.
Wow, I knew all that except the Steve Carell part. That's exciting. Congratulations. Great things happening for all of you. That's wonderful. We're going to spend the next 30 to 40 minutes hearing firsthand from the three of you about your career journeys, your successes, how you innovate within your industry, and advice you have on making the most of your experiences, both for our students who are still in college and our recent grads who are out of school, obviously, or maybe pursuing another degree. Our panelists will not be taking questions during the discussion. However, we will reserve at least 10 minutes at the end to address questions. So please use the Q&A feature down in your toolbar to post those questions, and we will get to as many of them as possible. And because one of the first questions is usually, are you recording this? We are recording this, and we will send it out for everyone to enjoy after we do captions on it, so probably a week or so. So let's kick it off with our first question. We're going to keep it fun and light to get started. I find we hear some of the most interesting things from this question. And here we go. What was your very first job, your first paid employment? And what are some of the life lessons that you're still applying today that you learned from that job? Let's kick it off with Melissa, because you've got a big smile. Unmute.
My first job that I got paid to do was when I was 12. I started braiding hair. I used to charge $50 to braid hair, and I kept braiding hair through high school, where I upped my fee to $75 for back length and $100 for waist length. And I took that into college. I went as far as doing hair that I even did the vice chancellor's hair of UC Davis when I went to undergrad. When I graduated and came to Sac State for grad school, I continued to do hair, and I progressed to weaves, wigs, crochets. I used to dye hair, and that's something that really has helped me both as a business owner and an entertainer, because I can always do my hair. I can change my hair in the same week, any style. I don't have to go to the salon. I can just go into a hair store and be super excited at all the things and just get very magical. I can always do my sister's hair and my friend's hair if they're an emergency. So yeah, I was born to be an entrepreneur.
Clearly, you've been doing it since 12. That's amazing.
Yes.
All right, Jeb, how about you?
Um, I don't. I guess I was gonna say because I don't. I forgot what I was gonna say, but I was working under my dad at first, basically, but he was kind of paying me, not paying me. It was more like a love paying once in a while. So I guess I don't kind of like see that as a
I'll
real
accept
job.
that, as
Yeah,
long as there
I
were
guess
some
yeah,
life lessons
acceptable.
involved.
But I did work when I went to a community college. I worked at like in a small business restaurant. I actually learned a lot, just learning to be just like a worker compared to like as a business owner. So when I worked at a restaurant, I kind of learning how to like communicate, especially with different types of customers. You're gonna deal with them every single day, different types of characteristics and how they act towards you and things like that. I also learn how to be a little bit more or to have more humility, especially like being a business owner now. I can see like, how you should be treating your employees or how you should be as a owner as well. I also learned how to organize and plan things ahead since I get the chance to become like a shift lead at the same time like a manager in that restaurant. So I kind of see how to lead other employees and just being like like a good example for them and just really planning ahead. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I think no matter what profession you're in, kind of knowing how to work with and appreciate those who work for you is going to really take you far in your business. So great lesson. Ted, how about you?
Yeah, I have a kind of a funny story is that my uncle owned a landfill in Solano County. And then so my dad got me a job with him over the summers. And my uncle asked my dad, he's like, do you want your son to have a college job or not a college job? My dad's all, what's the difference? He's all, I can give him a cush office job where he's making tons of money and he's not going to want to go to college. Or I could put him out in the field picking up garbage, backing in garbage trucks and all that. And he's just going to do anything in his power to get off to college. And so my dad said, college job. I was out there every summer backing in the garbage trucks. They'd put me on those fences out there for like 10 hours a day, just pulling garbage off, putting them in bags. So when I was done with that summer and I went to Sac State, I was ready to make sure that I was going to be the best I could be and have a different life than pulling garbage off the fence. And I think one of the life lessons there was it kind of as an analogy that whenever life throws garbage at me or the career or the industry is handing me hard times, I always know there's another level up that you can take. So I've always just I feel like I've been in the trenches, and then anytime I get back in there, I know that there's always a way out, going higher.
And hey, what a difference education makes, right?
Woo!
So awesome. Um, so as you know, we're here to give insights to students and recent grads that helped you on your along your way to becoming a business owner. So what is the best advice you ever received in your journey to owning your own business that we can share today? Jeb, why don't we start with you?
Yeah. So I actually just kind of heard this quote just this year, and that really, stuck in me and how I see like the business aspect of what I'm doing. I got it from the Rancho Cordova Chamber of Commerce. I think their quote is like your network is your net worth. So basically, if you have good connections with other people, then that's kind of help you be more successful as well. Especially coming from how I saw my dad when he had his first taekwondo gym here in the US. He didn't know anyone like that, so it's kind of hard for him to grow. But I kind of learned that from him that you have to reach out to other people, other businesses, so they can help you, but at the same time, you can also help them. So that's like the quote that really stuck with me till now, probably forever.
And that's a great one. And that's also a good reason to stay connected with your college, your university, because you have a built-in network of people who understand where you've been, part of your journey, and are there to help you be successful. And another fun fact, we have an online business, alumni business directory. So be sure to, if you all don't already feature your businesses there, or if any of you online have already started your business, let us know. We'll help you connect with that. Ted, how about you?
I think the best advice I can give anybody that's out there is thinking of owning their own business, and what came to me is that you'll never work harder, but you'll never be more free. So it's a lot of work, but you'll be free. And I think one of the main quotes, I'm always into reading quotes and stuff that I took as a youngster into this business when I was kind of creating what I was going to do was, I didn't want to have like a chop shop and be that guy. I really wanted to create a lifestyle that people could live together and have that community forever because I knew it would be a lot of work. So Zig Ziglar has one that says you could have anything in life as long as you help other people get what they want in life. And that's kind of then been, my method. My employees, I really do everything in my power to sit with them, not just in the career, but in life decisions to get them to a place where they could be as most successful as possible. And in turn, that comes back to me. Um, build yourself like mentally, spiritually, because who you are, the energy you are, is what your company will become, and it builds inside. It's not your build your company, and that'll be you. So always remember that. I think when I first started, I was crazy competitive, and I would just want to outdo everybody, be number one. And I love competition. However, you have to always come back and remember that the only person you should be competing with is yourself to be better than you were the day before. And that will always keep taking you up. And then sometimes you might be competing with someone that's not even doing what you could do. So compete with yourself. That's the best route. Find a mentor. Do not waste valuable years of your career doing something that's already been done. So start where someone else put the hard work in and take it from there. And then I think the thing I learned way too late in life is uh, when you're setting goals, when you're working for your career, why you're going to do it. When I first did it, it was to be rich. I got the house on the mansion on the lake. I had the cars. I had everything. I was that Gordon Gecko guy. But that novelty wears off so fast, and it's so empty. So really think it through what you want your success to be, and so really start your career with a purpose. And they say money can't buy you happiness, but it can. And the happiness it can buy you is the freedom and the time that you can spend with the loved ones and friends and family. And in the end, and that's really what you want to do. And if you have a business, you're going to be working hard, make a lifestyle out of it, and really know what you're aiming for. And that just makes getting up every day worth it.
Thanks, Ted. I love all of your advice comes back to kind of those intangible things that,
Right.
the community, helping others, being able to enjoy time with family and friends. Thank you for sharing. Melissa.
I think college is the best training ground to test to see if you even want to be a business owner. You literally get to tell your friends or your colleagues, hey, I do this. I want to charge this. Would you actually take advantage of the skill, this thing that I do? If you can make one sale, you can make many sales. But a lot of times the myth that people feel like is you have to create and establish so much and then decide to move forward as a business owner versus just seeing if you like it. And the only way to know if you like it is to use what skills you have and to put a price on that and see if you can manage that. When I started braiding hair, it took so much courage for me to tell people, hey, I do hair for this amount of money. Render the service of doing their hair and letting the service speak for itself and building up clientele that way. Before I get anything, before I create any social presence, I want to see if I even like it. And college was a great foundational place for that. Once I discovered that I like to render services and offer something, but what I render could change over time, that was something that I discovered too. And college is a great way to figure that out too. So sometimes you want to create something that's major specific, and sometimes you want to create something that has nothing to do with your major. Maybe you just learned a skill that's inside of being able to offer up something and the purpose of putting a price on it and advertising it via social media, TikTok, Facebook, a website, and then other people on campus already do things. People cut hair, people do nails, people do lashes, people do things. People work side gigs for different people. Those are all very starting levels to let you know if you even like the idea of entrepreneurship and creating something that you are solely responsible for and pushing it forward. So that would be my advice to everybody on the call is to see what are the things that you already do that you would want to try out to put a price on and know that your name is behind something and see if you like that feeling, see if that feels good to you, and then give it a name. Because once it has a name, then it's started, decided, and then it's just all systems go. Let the path discover itself. That's how Mindy's Kitchen came. That's how is being able to advertise myself and figure out how to price things for myself and see if I can handle the weight and the motivation and the confidence it takes to be the walking, marking advertising of something that I provide to the universe. So, yeah.
I love that philosophy, very kind of don't put the cart before the horse. You don't need a name to start your business, but start kind of make sure you like it, refine it, get where you're going, and then brand it. That's awesome. Um, and just for those of you who are thinking about this journey and starting this journey, we do have a great resource on campus. Melissa was great to point out a lot of the opportunities college provides. And that is the Carlson Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. It is open to all students, to alumni. They do workshops, they do networking events with tons of community organizations. So to Jeb's point earlier, it's a great way to start building that network of who do you know, who can you talk to, who might want to invest in what you're doing. So don't miss out on that opportunity. At a minimum, sign up for their newsletter. They'll send you something every week with everything going on. All right. Moving on to our next question. I think my feeling is if I were a business owner, hiring people feels much more personal than it does maybe in a bigger employment setting. So when you go into a place where you're able to hire people, I know, Ted, you were saying you're not competing, but being compared to organizations with 1,000 employees. And so it's very personal when you're bringing someone into this thing that you've built. So what are some of the qualities, not necessarily skills, but what are you looking for on the resume of someone that you're bringing into your organization that's going to represent you as a person? Melissa, I'm seeing a lot of energy around this, so I'll have you go first.
This is actually really passionate for me as someone that's an academic counselor on campus before becoming a business owner who used to help people with their resumes and get into graduate school and get a job. But once you create something, you realize there's no stylistic version of a resume that is going to beat soft skills, right? Confidence, public speaking, eye contact, passion, being able to engage and outreach. And those are the things that you look for when you're looking to hire somebody that's going to work on behalf of something that you literally created from scratch. And I just want to encourage anybody here, regardless of your major, regardless of how much work experience you have, regardless of if your resume is 1 page, 2 page, if you have an internship, paid, unpaid, engineering, dance, art, Nothing will beat having an interpersonal relationship with the hiring manager if you have the ability to do that. Because at the end of the day, that is what's going to matter once you get hired. Do we get along? Do we work well together? Are we able to laugh together? Are we able to acknowledge work conflict together and get through that? What's your relationship to customer satisfaction? Do you like engaging on social media? How are you meeting in person in a networking environment? Can you handle some soft talking conversations? Stuff like that really, really matters. And so that's what I look for. All of those, bells and whistles. Do you have a blazer? Do you not? Could care less about those things. I care more about how do you engage with people because people are the heart of the matter. In order to retain customers, you have to actually like a customer and think about how your customer experience is when you're going to other places. That is always going to be the make or break. So I just want to encourage anybody out there that if you're like, I don't have enough work experience for this, or I don't know, I don't have the right big words to say, or I don't want to chat GPT this interview, just think about how do I bring my real self, my passionate self, someone that is charismatic to this opportunity, knowing that at the end of the day, once I'm hired, I'm going to engage with customers or consumers.
And I would venture to say that everyone in the room could apply that same advice to themselves as they start their journey to being an entrepreneur, is they've got to address all of those soft skills and make sure they're equipped to be that to their audience, to their community, to so get nods like, yeah, I'm on the right track. Great. Chad, what do you look for?
So in Taekwondo is a little bit different. So I probably have like two sides, one in the, as a fast food chain or like restaurant, and then one in Taekwondo. So for us, it's a little bit different since it's a little bit more personal. You're dealing with kids like every day, the same kids over and over again. So knowing, what you're teaching definitely matters. Since if you don't know what you're teaching to a kid, then you just can get confused. So one thing I usually look for is if they're coachable. So if they're willing to learn and just always gonna be trying and error, and then as long as they're willing to learn, and then they're pretty open with constructive criticism. So say if they made a mistake, we talk about it and why it's not right or wrong, and they apply it. So they don't see it as like a negative kind of thing that they made a mistake or you're telling them that they made a mistake. So that's like the two big things that I look for in Taekwondo. Second one is like if they're consistent with their training. As I mentioned, if it's like personal, then you have to like show face as often as you can. You can just like teach Taekwondo in just once a week. You have to be there and like building relationships, not just with the kids, but with the parents or adults as well. So those are the traits or the characters I usually see or would want to hire someone. I had a chance as well with the family-owned small business restaurant that I was working before. I had a chance to interview some of employees or before they become employees. One thing I usually kind of look for is like if they know how to, as what Melissa said, like know how to engage. I think knowing how to engage with someone that you're talking to, it really matters than just making it seem like a kind of robotic conversation where like they ask you questions and then you just answer those questions without building that like engagement or personal relationship with them. I think that's pretty big in my opinion as well. Second is kind of if you're working at a restaurant, you kind of have a little bit of experience in some way. I know big companies it does kind of matter if you have the skills or not. But for small businesses, I think how you present yourself really matters a lot. So
Thank you. And yes, lots of overlap with what Melissa said. And I love the continued enforcement of, relationship building and building that rapport with your customers or clients. Ted, how about you?
Yeah, so things have changed through my 30 years, but when I first started, I was really just getting the numbers out there, pounding the streets, hiring everybody. I had like 65 loan officers working for me, and we got to a big company and opened an office all the way down to San Diego. But when I kind of got into it, I didn't like it because I had built a company, a brand, a logo that, was me, was every deal you do is your reputation. You're as only as good as your last transaction. and everybody was representing my logo, and I just could not manage that. And there's different personalities. So after 2008, when we kind of rebuilt for the second time, we have a hiring method and questions, and we go through this, and we're really looking. I used to hire the shiniest thing in the room, and now we are looking more for the piece that fits in our engine the best to make us run together. And it really is because whoever we bring on board is our reputation, what they're doing out there. So, we're looking for that person that has a great personality. And, what Jeb said is coachability. I don't have time for someone that's not wanting to learn. I need someone who has that energy and they're excited about the opportunity that they're going to get. And, we ask questions and stuff, but we truly want them to be in this business for the long haul. And the only way you can do that, it's not about the money you make. It's about the relationships you build. And it's a very rewarding career when you're helping someone buy their first home and you're walking them through it. Or if you're helping an older person with a reverse mortgage, that's just saving their house. So, we kind of go through, this process. And another thing is just the ownership mentality of the career. If you're blaming something in your past on this person or that person, I kind of let everybody know, if something is really not your fault, I don't want to hear it, because everything is your fault. Because most of the time, if you think in life, anything that's going wrong, you could somehow fix that or make it better. So that's kind of where we go. And I love smart people. I love a good resume, but in this career, we really could teach anybody that wants to be successful how to do it. But it's just, you need to find the right person. Like I've hired processors before that were so underqualified compared to other people that were, applying at the same time. However, we knew that this person was coachable. This person was going to be there. This person was going to work late to make loans close, and it was a great decision. So that's kind of, we're looking for someone that we could grow together with.
And I love to hear you really know your business. And from that, I don't mean mortgages. I mean, what's going to make your team work. And you had to pivot when the economy pivoted on the mortgage industry, and you found a way to build an even better team.
Multiple pivots.
Yep. So I love hearing about that. So this kind of tees up the next question of talking a little bit about work styles. So you all don't have this upper level of administration or a boss kind of setting goals for you. You all have to set your own goals, and whether those are day-to-day, long-term, personal goals, as well as business goals for the business. So I would imagine there's a lot that goes into that might be different from an average workplace setting your own goals. So maybe Ted, since we were just talking to you about how you shifted and reprioritized, maybe you could share a little bit with us about how you set goals.
Yeah. So when I first started, my goal was to just be this huge company. We had the many big offices, penthouse suites, all that stuff. And 2008 came, and then I had to, change all my goals again to have less overhead, more people. And just after COVID, now it's fully changed again. I've closed a lot of offices. We have like no loan officers come into the office besides for meetings or if they have a client. So, now I'm changing everything, really getting into AI, more online, and that kind of stuff, because you have to go with the time. But just if we're going to go with goals for, if you're looking for a career or anything, the oldest goal way to do it in the past is you just have to reverse engineer, find out where your goal is, and then figure out the steps backwards to where you are today, and that's where to go. And just the one thing that I do every single day is before I go to bed, I make sure that I have the full day planned out for the next day, so you don't have paradigm paralysis and get stuck with the heavy load. So that just helps so much when you're trying to set goals. And if I give any advice on goal setting, be clear-minded, have good health, get up early. There's a book called The Morning Miracle, a Miracle Morning or something, but it's something I've always done. Get up an hour before your family gets up, get a workout in, get some meditation in, and jump in a cold pool for a cold dip or something, and really just get your day going. So that's kind of how I do my goal setting, and I try to really stay consistent with it. And then lastly, when you're setting goals and you're in a great mood and you've done all this stuff, don't be insane. Do something that's sustainable, that you could you could do every day in a lifestyle. So, if you have to back something off because you have kids in sports, then do what you can do so that you can, stay consistent. And staying consistent is one of the most important parts for success. Because if you try to do it all and then you fail and then it's peaks and valleys, just set something up that you can maintain.
I love that perspective of consistent and sustainable because I think when you're swinging constantly, you're always chasing something. So great philosophy. Loved your daily planning minus the jumping in a really cold pool. I'll pass on that one, but I'm learning here, things I can take in. Melissa, how about you? Goal setting in your businesses. I'm gonna plural there.
Yeah, so one thing I learned how to do is I do an annual goal and then I break it into 4 quarters. And then for those 4 quarters, I break it into subjects. One is social media, one is customer retention, what is operations, and what is administrative. And I decide quarterly what those goals are. And sometimes they're just two for the quarter. Um, I encourage people to not get overwhelmed with trying to make a bunch of goals because that can be overwhelming when really the end goal that you really want for yourself is really filled with little micro steps along the way. And then decide how can I achieve those quarterly goals up with those two goals, taking it one day at a time. So for example, if I want to get my business license, maybe my goal for the first quarter is figure out what I want to call it, right? Maybe that's the goal. And then when you want to call it, figure out, okay, who all needs to be a part of my foundational team? Do I need a marketing person or what are some things that I can do for myself? For someone that wants to create something that only requires them being the business, I would think about like, how can I self-invest? And when we hear the word invest, you just think all these commas, right? Like, oh, I need an angel investor. I need $1 million. But sometimes, let's say if I'm going to be a barber, maybe the investment is getting a good pair of clippers. Maybe that's my first round of investment. And maybe it's making sure that I have 2 customers in the first round. For me, when I was creating Mindy's, was saying, let me create salads for my friends and see if they like it. Maybe that's the goal. And then when I do that, let me see if I can put a price on the salad and see if it would sell. Right? There's these slow ways of accomplishing goals that lead to these larger goals rather than overwhelming yourself sometimes with a bunch of these large goals and then feeling like you can't meet them because I agree with Ted. There is ebbs and flows to having a business, right? The economy is always very unpredictable, but you being consistent and sustainable in the economy is what's the most important. And so how do you create tangible goals that make you feel like you're still moving in the right direction without overwhelming yourself and then ultimately shutting down? And no matter what you do, everything is going to work because there are multiple coffee shops on the same block. There are multiple gas stations on the same block. There are multiple different types of cars, different types of cell phones. So whether you're doing something original or something that you've already seen, everything can work. It's just about staying consistent and never giving up. So creating tangible goals and being realistic with yourself because you're also managing this entire academic experience and having fun while you're doing it, right? What you do, you should be able to enjoy. So that's what I want to share with folks.
Well, and I also love about your tangible, kind of smaller chunk, realistic goals is that gives you lots of opportunity to celebrate as you check them off.
Mhm.
And I've got to imagine that's a huge motivator. Like, woohoo, got these done, moving forward.
Or fail really fast, right? I'd
Okay.
rather you fail fast and be like, oh, that doesn't work, but it's low risk, right? So now you can
Yep.
pivot and make a better, a goal. So yeah.
Awesome. Jeb, how about you and goals?
When I first started, I was, having so many big goals and dreams, but I just realized that's not how things work. You can take it step by step and just, for me, I don't like writing things down, but as a business owner, you have to, especially if you're setting goals for yourself, because, those goals you might forget and, might come back later in time. But writing it down is definitely a big thing if you're, having a business or having goals in general. I would say having a goal that you want to set in the next maybe a year or 5 years like that, like a long-term goal and also a short-term goal. So usually how I do is like I just kind of divide it and then start off with just, like a week kind of goal. So within this week, I'm gonna set myself doing this one. And if I can do it, then we'll celebrate. It's kind of like a small win, but those small wins accumulate over time. And then next thing you know, that small wins becomes big wins. And then without knowing it, you just finish the big goal that you had a year ago. So just taking the time to just finish those small steps and then just, take little bit of day-to-day goals that you can set for yourself and then just achieving that. And then also giving the time for yourself to enjoy the goals that you have because sometimes it gets kind of, it gets too much or you get burnt out easily as well. So don't forget to give yourself some time to celebrate those wins. So small wins, because those small wins can become big wins in the future.
I love that reminder that you've got to celebrate and enjoy what you're accomplishing because that's what's going to rejuvenate you and keep you going. Thank you for sharing that. I know Ted started to talk on this a little related to kind of things that have happened in the market or COVID of when you have to innovate within your business. And it may not always be a have to, like based on, some national economic trend but you may be seeing, AI is a big one right now that's causing a lot of companies to look at how do they innovate what they do. So I want to have each of you spend a minute just sharing how do you innovate within the businesses you've set up, and how do those ideas get generated? How does that impact your business practices and the processes? And since we talked about employees earlier, how do you kind of share that down with employees, that opportunity to innovate? Um, let's see who wants to go first. Uh, Ted, how about you, since I picked on you?
Yes, innovation is my entire career. 30 years ago, we took applications by hand on paper. We had to mail them into the underwriter and it was going. But to be competitive, you have to keep going. Then we got cell phones and then we got emails, and then I was able to actually fax over an application and I was beating everybody and it was awesome. And then we just have to, I have a saying that innovation moves quickly, but we have to move quicker. And so always have to be ahead of that. And then as I'm getting older, it's a little bit tougher because, I'm just patting myself on the back for figuring out Google ads and Facebook ads and things like that. Right when AI comes in, I'm like, oh my God. So now I'm meeting with a guy actually next week to go over AI marketing and all the different stuff that we could do with that. But yeah, you just have to keep staying to be competitive in my industry. You always have to be at the top of technology and innovation and, where the business is coming from. And, yeah, so that's pretty much, I've just keep going right now. We are changing due to markets for people not want, with being able to have a cell phone and a computer and a laptop. I don't, I used to have to spend like 100 grand a month on office space and things for people to come in. I had to run the phone boards. I had to have the computers at the desk. I had to have receptionists to take the messages. But now everybody has all of that right at their home. They're not going to sit in the office. So with those big changes, we have to get rid of that and these different structures and see what's going to happen. And right now, after COVID, I've closed down about 7 offices and people are working out of their houses. We're hiring more people. We have that different kind of structure, hiring people to manage that. And, in reality, it's going to be, I do miss coming into work every day and seeing my friends and having that motivation, the energy. I think that we'll see how that works because that's still very important. Zoom doesn't do the same thing. So I try to have meetings and get everybody together. So I do miss the camaraderie. But that's the future. I'm not going to be able to compete if I'm trying to get people to work 9 to 5 in the office anymore. So at my age, it's a little bit tougher with technology and everything, but I have to help. So that it's always have to be changing to see what's going to happen. But I look forward to the future. I think 2026 is going to be the first time I get to see how this all works, and it's exciting.
Well, and I also hear you saying, I think, that you know what your skill set is, and I don't think anyone can be the master of everything. So
No.
you know when to call in the expert, like meeting with the AI guy. How do we kind of innovate our industry? So kind of seeking that input from others, I think, is a great takeaway
Yeah,
as well as,
I have to ask my 5-year-old how to change this screensaver on my phone.
well, sorry. Um, Melissa, how about you? Innovation in your businesses?
I say start small, pivot fast. One of the best advice that I got in an incubator program that I was in, Sacramento Entrepreneurship Academy, was the best businesses and the best business owners are people that can recognize where they need support and recognize where they need to adjust their strategy. And I'll give you an example. When I first created Mindy's, I was really about vending machines. I wanted food on the go because right now there's tons of food available, especially for those that are diet restrictive, between 8 and 6 p.m. Oh, tons of options. You got your e-delivery platforms. You can leave for an hour if you work a traditional 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. You can even go and pick it up. But right outside of those ranges, things get a little slim. And after 9 p.m., things get slimmer. So I was like, oh, vending machines. This would be great. It would be an e-kiosk. Oh, and then I found out, oh my gosh, the e-kiosk has its own fees. That has to happen. And then it needs Wi-Fi. And then it needs to be in an environment that can support Wi-Fi. And then the vending machine, guess what? That's a piece of technology. That's going to age out. Where am I going to put an old vending machine? Where are those things going to go? I'm not a vending machine salesman. I'm here to serve food. And then shelf space. How big do I want the vending machine? Where is it going to go? And can every place I want it to go handle that size of a vending machine? How many shelves? How many rows? Right? Space is very different. And what are the rental fees for the vending machine, along with the fees that I'm going to charge the client that's supposed to be affordable? Oh, when I was dreaming, it sounded perfect. But when the numbers came, I said, I'm not going to make any money. I'm actually going to go into debt doing this while trying to give to the community. So I had to pivot really fast and say, oh, okay, conceptually, that sounds fantastic, but monetarily, it doesn't make good business sense. So let's pivot and let's get into the grocery stores that actually have clientele that actually come to eat food that is diet restrictive and let the expansion happen from there naturally. So that's a version of innovation and pivoting. I started with something and you're like, oh, you pitch it, it sounds really great, you get all this funding for it, but when it's actually time to get into the field, things need to adjust. So I just want to encourage anybody for innovation, let you know you never stop innovating. You're always going to find new ways to keep your business out in the front, keep your business consistent, and that's just going to have to leave you open to say when something is not working, when something needs a fresh update, and when you need to totally get rid of something. It doesn't mean you're not good at business. It means that you're strong enough and you don't have too much ego to say that the goal is to be sustainable and to be consistent so you can keep your employees, right? Because they have things that they're responsible for based on the money that you pay them. How do we still maintain our numbers with adjusting how we're going to service our community and sometimes you make it more effective? So yeah, you never stop innovating.
And I think that's great advice. Don't let the ego get in the way of change that needs to happen and, recognizing when something may not be working the way you want it to work, that you need to pivot. So thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jeb.
I feel like innovation is really, really important. I think all businesses should be innovative or just have innovation. Even for our Taekwondo gym, if you think about it, it's just, if you have the skills to teach a kid, then that's it. You have your business, but you can't grow that quick if you just think it that way. Especially now, AI is overcoming, AI is everything at the moment. So if you're reluctant in learning how to use AI or you're scared about AI, then you're just gonna get left behind. So innovating through technology is a must in my opinion. For us back then, we just do like hand papers when they sign in or when they sign up. But using technology, it's become much easier, much faster. When they come in, they just write, use a tablet or iPad, and then that's it. And multiple people can do it instead of like just one at a time. We also use like automations now than before. As a business owner, it's kind of hard to like reach out to each and every person, especially just one person. But with technology, you can make it automated where you can just send out a bunch of emails or texts in just 1 second. So I think it's really important to have that. Even for customer experience as well. I had a hard time before, like just checking people up or just having that engagement between each and every person, especially if you're growing and especially if you need to have that personal relationship with each customer you have. It feels like a family here. So without innovation or having that technology to be able to reach out to them, then it's hard for you to succeed as well. So I think innovation is a must in a business, especially now.
All right. I want to make sure we have time to do Q&A. So I'm going to jump. We do have a question. We'll jump over there and then we'll close up with a question for you all. The question in the Q&A is, what is an essential skill? What is a skill essential to master as an entrepreneur? Maybe what skill is essential? Yeah, what skill is essential to master as an entrepreneur? Melissa, I see you nodding, so I'm going to call you out.
Knowing how to ask for help. You have to know how to ask for help. You are not going to know it all. You can have the vision, you can have the excitement, but you do need help to see your vision through. You do. And then the second thing is knowing how to ask for money and manage money. Right? You're going to need money, whether you get a loan, whether you get an investor, whether you self-generate based on your product, you're going to have to get very comfortable with money and know how to ask for help.
Do you, I see Ted, so I'm going to ask each of you though as follow-up to this. So start thinking on it. Kind of what are some great resources have you've used for exactly that, what you mentioned. So Ted.
Yeah, like Jeb was saying, you can use the AI will give you any information. But one of the greatest bits of advice you can get to be an entrepreneur is, first of all, start out. Don't wait to be ready because you're never going to be ready. You have to just jump in as soon as possible. There is an old saying that says, "Fake it till you make it." But now, the more I look at that, that is kind of a method of manifestation, right? So get in there and remember, do not wait to be fully ready where you're not going to fail because all your failure when you're jumped in is the quickest learning lessons ever. So just get in there, do it, use the resources. I mean, AI, I'm just looking at this stuff. It gives you the answer to everything. It will build a full breakdown of a structure for a company. I mean, it's at your fingers. Just get into it and do it. Don't wait. And to this day, I think the word comfort is the devil. Just get rid of that and do something that scares you, and you will have a great time. Great.
You know, you hit a great point. I had a conversation years ago with an alum who set up multiple gaming businesses, and he's like, it took me 6 failed businesses to get the one that skyrocketed. So his point was exactly what you said. Don't be afraid to fail because you're going to learn just as much from when you fail as when you succeed. So um, great point. Jeb, did you want to add anything on that topic, or should we move on to the next question?
Sure. I would say like the skills you need to have. That's not the question, right? The skills you
Hmm.
need to have. I I think for me it's like kind of simple. I think just having the self-confidence within yourself. I think it starts from there, knowing that you can do it, then you can definitely do it. So believing in yourself, I feel like it's a first step because if you don't believe in yourself, then you won't be able to do the things that you want to do or the goals that you want to set for yourself. So just having that confidence and backing up with the skills that you have you'll definitely progress and improve in the future and succeed.
100%. Can't underscore that enough. Great insight. Our next question has to do with building your customer base. So this attendee asked, how did you get your first customers? I've advertised on Nextdoor, Facebook groups, etc., but they get overlooked amongst so many other people also posting their own business. Anyone want to volunteer to take this one first? Melissa.
My first customer were my friends and family. My friends and family. They were the one because I wanted honest feedback too, right? When you are starting something, when you're rendering a service, oh, well, if you're in the service, business to customer relationship, you need to be surrounded by customers that will give you honest feedback. And sometimes that can be very, very vulnerable, but you need a safe place to get that. So if you have siblings, if you have cousins, if you have roommates, if you have neighbors, if you have parents, if you have mentors, right? See if you can make your first sale there. See if you can convince them to create some type of partnership there. Because the best way to market, even with all of the social media, is word of mouth. You don't know what meetings people are in. You don't know what networks people are a part of. You don't know what boards, facilities. You don't know who people's friends are. I remember I had a friend tell me, "Oh, and I'm not sure if folks watch the show. Oh, I have a friend that works on the show Insecure, and she works with Issa Rae. Do you want me to give her your information?" Wait, how do you know Issa Rae? What? But I don't realize that you never know who people just know, who people went to high school with, who went to college with, who people, their kids playing sports together. You never know. So I want to encourage you, even if social media is not kicking off now, sometimes just like the algorithm doing its thing and your consistency on the algorithm. If you can convince your closest people to you, they will be your best marketing tool. Hey, my friend has this food business. Oh my gosh. Hey, my friend has this workout place. Hey, my friend does loans. Hey, my friend is the vice president of alumni relations at Sac State. Hey, my friend. It just happens. And you don't know who they know and they know and they know. And then next thing you know, you have this huge network of people that you started off knowing and you realize, I don't know who you are, but thank you for buying my product, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that we've talked to students and recent grads about is, that it's a very old saying that it's all about who you know. But it's very relevant in almost every business. You've got to keep expanding that network of who you know and who you can connect with and who you can invite to try your product, share your business, all of those things. So keep growing that personal and professional network because, like Melissa said, you'll never know where that contact's going to come from. Ted or Jeb, you want to share anything about get it? Ted.
Yeah. What Melissa said is dead on. We always have our people start going after their family and then their inner circles. And do your kids have soccer? And just to go after the people you know. But there's a lot of ways to get a business online and things like that. But that's not the way that my company is. It's every deal. Your client, you wow them, you give them your heart and soul for that transaction. That will be the best referral source you will ever get. I swear, when I close a loan with somebody, they can't wait to show a friend what I can do for them. And like I just hired someone a couple weeks ago, and they came in and they're all excited with their plan, and they're paying this much for Facebook and this much for AI and this much and this much. And I said, so what did you do with your last client that you closed? Nothing, right? So they don't have them in the database. They didn't send them a gift. They don't have a follow-up quarterly. So every single person, when you're working that transaction, there's a commission base, but that also is referral money for the rest of your career if you do it right. So everybody you touch, make sure you put them into a database, keep notes on them, have the follow-up, send them birthday cards or whatever you need to do. And as old school as that is, it really doesn't work with drip systems or online automated campaigns. Maybe that'll get better, but phone calls and following up and knowing their story and remembering them and making them remember you, through your transaction. So, yeah, that is one of the every single person, that is your future.
All comes back to relationships. Um, Speaking of, the other side of the coin in kind of defining what your line of business is, we have one attendee who has been successful with implementation, goal setting, laying out plans, but has struggled to find the calling, like what is this first business to follow through? And do any of you have some insight to share on how you got that clarity and what your calling was and how you were
Yeah.
gonna?
Yeah, I have great insight. Your calling is get into the mortgage field. It's right here. This is fate. So yeah, and what it is try different stuff and find a mentor and see if you like it and learn from that. Just to go out and try a business and do this, that's fun. But go around and feel what you need. And if there's a lot of people out there, and the way it works is find people, like if you want to play guitar, a musician will help you out. If you want to be good in sports, an athlete will help you out. If you want to be successful in the business, find someone like that's on this panel. We will help you out. We're the people that are rooting for you. We went through it and we would love to give advice. And it's just the more that we give into our business and to people growing underneath us is the more that we give back. And I even have a rule of my company. I will teach you every single thing if you want to stay on board with me forever, because owning a business could be tough. that's fine. But if your goal is in 2 years to open your own business, I will help you all the way through, So that's, we're always here to help.
Step out. Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer, I can't hear you.
Oh, any parting comments from Melissa before you take off?
Yes, I do have to step out, but I have it was so nice to meet you. I just want to encourage that person that ask that. I think what you want is you want to be a business owner, but you're trying to find the right way to render service, and that is an okay place to do too. If you know, I want to work for myself, I have the administrative operational stuff down, but the actual service or the type of thing I want to do, figure out. Give yourself the grace to have a yes. Yes, I want to do it. I'm still working, which is why it's beautiful to start small so you can see if you like it. If you don't like it, pivot what you're offering, but keep the structure so that way when it does figure itself out, you'll be ready to take off. So don't be too hard on yourself. All of us on this call have tried multiple things, tried different methods. We probably tried to convince our friends and family about so many different things. They've given us faces in return. But give yourself some place and I'm so the foundation stuff. So that's really the hardest part. The foundation is the easy part. The foundation is the structure part. So thank you so much. And it's so nice to meet you all. And I'll see you again. I'll see you on social media.
Have a great day, Melissa.
Bye, you all.
Couple of quick, yes, there will be a recording of this, so we'll send that out, and maybe we can close out because we're at 12:56, so I want to respect everybody's time. One of the questions was, should we still have a website, social media? I think I'm going to just put out there, have all the things, because you want people to be able to find you when they're looking for you and where they're looking for you, and not everybody will look for you in the same ways. But there is a question in here that I think is a good one to close with. What motivated, and we're talking to Jeb and Ted, what motivated you to choose the path that you're on? What was that aha moment when you knew that this is what you wanted to do? Ted.
Yeah, so for me, when I went from the landfill into Sac State, I was in my business courses. I just, and surround yourself with the right people. I surrounded myself with a bunch of very, very competitive business people that were in my business classes. So we were like trying to compete for grades and projects and all of that stuff. We kind of all wanted to be powerful stockbrokers, but my family was kind of in the real estate business. So I was talked into doing the real estate finance, which is mortgage. So, I didn't want to own my own business in the beginning. And this is why I say maybe find a mentor. But I worked for Norwest Mortgage, and then I worked for Wells Fargo in the new subdivisions. Then I went to work for Vitech. And then after all those years of learning all these systems and all this stuff, in 2004, I was realizing that I'm not able to compete with rates with the brokers. I don't like the structure of this. I love all those companies, but just for what I wanted, and I didn't have any input. So it was worth it to me to step out and actually start my own company with all of that knowledge I've learned from working at all these different companies and put it all together, with what I felt was going to be the most efficient and the best for the customer and work best for me. So, you don't have to just like, I need to own a business, and don't do it out of ego, do it out of, you could actually, just make your life better by having the control. And, if you feel something that you're passionate about, you can make it better and go that route. So if you want to do a restaurant, work at a restaurant, work in the back, figure it out. And then what can you do better? Always be thinking of that way. And that's kind of when you started. I think maybe coming out fresh, that's kind of tough. There's the young kids these days, they can do anything with the internet and stuff like that. But go something that you're passionate about, do it, see what you can do better, and then take off from there.
Jeb, how about you?
I think just having that hands-on experience, especially coming from me, I never saw myself teaching Taekwondo, even though I've been doing Taekwondo since I was born. But I kind of start realizing it when I was helping my dad that it was fun to teach, especially seeing your students grow because of you. And I was like, this is really, really rewarding. I can see myself doing this till I can't walk anymore. So just being in that environment and just kind of just feeling it out. And then once you have that passion and you're passionate with it, then just keep on doing as long as you put in some hard work. So just as long as you're passionate and you put in hard work, you'll you like what you're doing. And as long as you're not scared to fail as well, I think most of businesses, they don't start doing their businesses just because they're scared of failing. But I think that's part of being successful. You have to learn how to fail so you can succeed. So I think that's pretty much all I can say for that question.
Well, I just want to say again how much I appreciate all of your time today to share. I think we could keep going on questions probably for hours. So I would encourage everyone on the call as well as our panelists to check out the Sac State Career Network. That is an online platform where you can connect with alumni and ask them all sorts of questions. So you can find a business owner, find someone that just seems like they've had a cool journey and schedule a 30-minute conversation with them to learn from them. It doesn't have to be the career field you're studying for, just something that piques your interest. So check out the Sac State Career Network. It really is a great platform to do exactly what all of our panelists were talking about today, is learn from others and help refine that vision, that inspiration, or set goals. With that, thank you all so much for attending today. I hope this has been helpful. It's a great nod to Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is going on right now. Check out the Carlson Center for more events. I know Aaron posted their link in the chat earlier. But have a great afternoon and thank you so much. Bye.